So to begin, find yourself in a comfortable seat, whatever that looks like or feels like for you. I'm going to be sitting in my chair. And for this part, it might be helpful if you have something to lean against the back of a chair, you can do that. And if you're sitting on the floor and you want to lean against a wall or something, that's okay too. And just for a moment or two, I want to invite you to orient yourself to the space that you're in. So you might take a look around the room and kind of notice, even if it's a room you've been in many times, take a look around and see what your eyes can take in. See what you notice as you look around, the colors, the shapes. See if you can feel the temperature of the air in the room where you are. See if you can notice maybe the texture of what your hands or your feet are touching. And then ask yourself, would it be okay to check in a little bit deeper with your body? And if it feels okay, now we can look inside and ask our body, what do we notice there? What is my body feeling right now? So you might be experiencing some discomfort in your body. That's often the case, right? We often have little aches and pains, or maybe we have a chronic pain that we're dealing with. See if you can acknowledge whatever it is that you find. I don't need you to like whatever it is you find. If there's pain there, I'm not asking you to like it, but just to notice it and kind of acknowledge it. Notice if your body's sending you any messages. Is it hungry? Is it thirsty? Does it want to be adjusted a little bit? Should you move around a little bit? And you can do that as needed. And then finally, we'll take a look and see, how is my mood today? How is my heart? And how is my mind? And so as you're looking inside, noticing your experience of being in your body, noticing your experience of breathing in your body, we're just gathering information here to see, what are we working with in our practice today? Good. Now, if you like, we can start to set an intention for the practice based on the information that you've gathered so far. What is it that you, your body, your heart, your mind, your spirit, what is it that you need from your yoga practice today? What's important to you? And this could be something physical or mental or emotional. Or it could be something completely different. Let's take one more breath here. And then if you've had your eyes closed, we can open the eyes. And take a moment or two just to roll the shoulders out a few times. So just shoulders up and back and down, not trying to make it anything fancy, just a little movement. And then we'll go the other way, shoulders up and forward and down. Okay. If you're sitting on the floor, make sure that your legs feel comfortable. If you're sitting in a chair with me now, you might sit forward a little bit. Wherever you are, I want to invite you to place your hands on your knees or on your thighs, as I'm showing here. And then with your hands, lightly push into the legs and see if you can feel a sense of broadening across the chest. As you do that, the spine might feel as though it lifts up a little taller. So just a gentle push with the hands into the legs, a lift of the spine and a broadening across the chest. Now with your head, tuck your chin and slide the top of your throat back like you're retracting your chin, almost as though you were trying to make a double chin. And then just for a breath or two here, see if you can feel a sense of dignity in your body. Feel a sense of being relatively upright, broad in the chest, standing or sitting tall, and feeling a quality of dignity. Let's take one more breath as we are here. And then you can let that relax a little bit, but see if you can keep a little bit of that sense. So we're not pushing into the legs now, we're not actively lifting, but just a little sense of that dignity, a sense of that feeling. Now we'll start to add a little movement. Take your arms and reach them as wide as you have room. And then bring them across the body. Give yourself a little hug. One arm hugs on top of the other. Notice which arm is on top. And then we'll take the arms wide again, squeezing shoulder blades together behind you. And the opposite arm crosses on top. We'll do a few of these, opening wide, shoulder blades squeezing, stretching into the chest. Arms cross. And one more time like this. Great, arms cross again. Nice. Now this time as you open wide, pause here, squeeze the shoulder blades together and a little bit down. Reach out through the fingers and you might even wiggle the fingers a little bit so you can feel how far back you're reaching. If it's okay, we're going to keep the arms here for just a moment. Retract, tuck the chin back, look over your right shoulder only as far as you feel comfortable. And then slide your gaze across the horizon to the left, only as far as you feel comfortable. One more time to the right. And one more time to the left. Gaze back to center, let the arms relax. That was a long time to hold the arms out to the side. So if you want to move around a little bit, go ahead. Let's continue to move here. We're going to play with something we did a few weeks ago. If you were with me, if you haven't, you'll catch on, don't worry. So we start by reaching the arms up toward the ceiling or the sky, whether you're inside or outside. And then we take a little bit of a lean over to your left. So we're stretching into the right side body. Now, as I do this, I've got my hand on the side of the chair, but if you're on the floor, the arm could be reaching out to the side. Then we come all the way up and we twist, take a turn in the other direction. So twisting to the left, maybe the left hand comes behind you. Right hand can rest on either leg. Then we come up through center and we'll bring the hands to the heart. Let's try that again. Arms reach overhead. And then we're taking a lean. This time it's going to be to the right. I think I got my left and right mixed up a moment ago, so I apologize if I confused you. We'll get it together. So side bending to your right. Then we come up through center and twist to the left. So you twist to the left, left hand comes behind you. Shoulders are relaxed. Let's try that again. Arms come through center and the hands come through the heart. So here we go into the side bend. Arms reach overhead first. We're side bending over to the left, maybe a little further this time. We come back to center and it's a twist to the right. Back through to center, arms float overhead. And the hands come through center. Here we go, arms lift up. Now we're side bending to the right, maybe holding the side of the chair or reaching the arm out to the side if you're on the floor. We come back up through center and we're twisting to the left. Great. We'll do one more time through, arms up. And we start by bringing the hands back to center to return to the beginning of the cycle. Here we go, arms reach overhead. Side bend to the left first. Back up to center and a twist to the right. Let's take one more breath here. And then it's back to center, arms reach. And hands to the heart. Arms lift overhead. Side bend to the right. This will be the last time through. All the way back up. And we twist to the left. We'll take an extra breath in and out here. See if you can feel that lift of the chest, that tallness in the spine. And back to center. Great work. So if you're on the floor, you might move the legs around a little bit. If you're in the chair with me, and take the legs a little bit wide. And now I'm just going to invite you to move the legs around a little bit. We haven't done too much with the legs, so we're going to start that now. Let me show you one thing you might do here. We bring the knees together and we bring the knees apart. So we're just rocking in and out. You're sitting on the floor, you can do the same thing with straight legs. Legs come together, legs come apart. A little bit of a warm up for the joint here where the leg meets the hip. And then we'll settle into a position where the 2 feet are a little bit wide. If you're sitting on the floor, you might take the legs wide too. And we'll start to do a circle with the torso. Now, if circling doesn't feel good, you might just lean side to side and sort of go back and forth that way. But if it does feel good, we're moving around in a circle. As you continue, see if you can still feel your hands wherever they are. Maybe they're resting on the legs. Feel the feet on the floor if you can feel the feet. And feel how your body moves through space. Next time you come through the front of the circle, continue with that and stop whenever your body says it's time. Do a few cycles around here, starting to feel maybe how the muscles around the spine can wake up. We've done some twists and some side bends. Might feel a little warmer, a little looser. And then we'll come back through to center. Before we do a little more movement, I want to invite you just to pause and feel and notice what it is that your body can sense or experience here. Maybe taking an extra breath or two here as you scan through, noticing any tension in your neck or your jaw or your shoulders. And if there is any tension there that you don't need, just inviting that to start to fall away here. Let's take one more breath in and out. Good. Now, wherever your legs are is fine with me. We're just going to do one more thing before we start to bring some warrior poses in. Let's take the arms wide here into a cactus shape, and then we'll bring the elbows together in front. As the elbows go wide, again, we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades behind us. And then as the elbows come together, you might even round the spine forward slightly. Let's take 3 more of these, opening wide through the chest and curling a little bit. So we're doing a lot of work with the shoulders and the chest today. We'll do 2 more of these. And if the arms are tired, or if you breathe, we'll do 1 more here. And the next time that the elbows come together, let's pause, let the hands rest for a moment. Breathe in and out. Okay. So now we'll move into some warrior postures. If you are seated and you want to stand, you're welcome to stand up here. I'm going to show the postures from a chair, but I'll also show them standing so you get a little view. So we're going to start with warrior 2. We're going to do warrior 2 with the right leg forward first. I'm sitting in a chair right now. My hips are supported. My right knee now is pointing out to the right. It's actually my left, but I'm trying to be a mirror for you. And then my left leg is a little bit straighter. Now, it may still need to be bent, especially if you are seated. If you're standing, you would be in the similar position without the support of a chair under your hips. I'm going to lower the camera just a little bit so you're able to see my feet for this part. Now, as we come into our warrior 2, pause for a moment and see if you can connect to the feeling. The arms might be out to the sides. If it gets too tiring for the arms, we'll just give them a little break. If you're able to feel your 2 feet here, maybe you have to wiggle them around a little bit. See if you can notice the connection of the feet to the floor. Maybe you feel your hips on the chair, so we're grounded. And then feel the lift of the chest. Feel that sense of dignity in the body. And then we'll come into exalted warrior. With your left hand, drop down the back leg, or it just rests on the chair. And then with the right arm, we're stretching up toward the ceiling. And maybe you lean back so you get a little bit of a side body stretch in that right side of the body. Now, we're all different. We're going to experience this differently. So if it doesn't feel good to reach the arm up, you don't do it. Some of us might feel good to place the hand on the back of the head, giving a little more stretch through the tricep muscles. Let's take 1 more breath here in this exalted warrior. And then we'll bring the spine more upright. Reach the arms again if that feels okay in the body. And we're back in our warrior two. Now, at any time, if you need to take a break, go ahead. If you're standing and you want to straighten the legs, go ahead. Otherwise, we're going to drop into our side angle pose. So I've taken my elbow to the thigh here. You could also do a hand. And then with your left arm, we're reaching up over the ear. So we're making a line from the left fingers all the way down to the left foot. If you have a little more range of motion in your body, you want to take the hand lower to a block or to the floor, that's totally fine. This is your practice. Now, as we stay here for another breath or two, you might explore taking your top arm, your left arm, and tucking it behind your back. Doesn't matter how far it goes, but maybe we try slipping it back there, which puts a little bit of a different stretch on the front of the left shoulder and on the left side of the neck. You can decide if that feels okay for you or if you need to make a different choice. Continue to notice the feeling of the feet, that sense of length through the spine, and your ability to breathe comfortably. And then we'll come all the way out of our bound side angle pose, back to our warrior two. And for just one moment, look out over the fingertips and feel the two arms. And then let the hands rest on the legs. Let's walk the legs back to center. If you're standing, you can straighten both legs, shake them out, and move around a little bit. I want to invite you to pause here and notice, do you feel any different in your body than you did a moment or two ago? I feel that one side of my body feels like it did something the other side didn't. But you may also have a feeling like your mood has shifted in some way, or you may have a sensation of pain or discomfort that tells you we want to do something different on the second side. So that's real wisdom when we find that. Let's begin to make our way into warrior two on the other side. So now the left toes and the left knee point out to the left, and that right leg is a little bit straighter. And again, depending on you and your chair, you may need to have that leg bent. It's not a big deal either way. And then we've been doing a lot of work with the arms and the shoulders. So if you need to rest the arms, go ahead at any time. Otherwise, let's take the arms out to the sides again for our warrior two. And this time I want to invite you to explore palms up in this position. So with our palms up, sometimes we feel a little bit more of a sense of openness or ease across the fronts of the shoulders. It's a little less work to hold the shoulders up. See what you notice. Again, see if you can feel that lift of the spine, that sense of uprightness, that sense of dignity in the body. And then as you maybe feel or sense your hips and your feet, see if you can push into the floor a little bit so you get a sense of your power too. So we're not just passive in the pose, we're exerting control. And then we'll move into our exalted warrior. You can let the right arm soften down, maybe just rests on the leg. The left arm reaches up to the sky, or maybe it arcs up over the ear. Now you might reach straight up and just feel that, or it might feel good to sort of lean back. So I'm looking in my body right now, I'm just looking for a little bit more of a stretch through this whole side of the body here. If it feels good to explore that, go ahead. And please remember that you are the one who gets to decide what's right for you today. If you want to explore that hand on the head, that feels good to me today. I want to stretch into my tricep muscles, the back of the arm a little bit more. And then important that wherever you're looking, your neck feels okay. So if you're looking up and that hurts your neck, then try looking down. We want to make sure that our neck is very comfortable. As you're ready, we'll extend the arms one more time back into that warrior two position, feeling that reach of the arms. And then it's into our side angle pose. The elbow to the knee or the hand to the knee, and the right arm stretching up over the ear. So again, it's not about what the pose looks like, it's about the energetic feeling of it. We're not trying to smush our body into a cookie cutter shape. We're trying to bring the idea of the shape into our body in whatever way is most supportive or resourceful for you today. And see if you can find that sense of length through the spine, that dignity and broadness across the chest. And now too, that feeling of power in the feet, maybe power in the hips, maybe even power in that left hand or left elbow, wherever it's resting, so that we're not just sort of falling toward the floor, we're resisting gravity, we're pushing away a little bit, having a sense of agency and capacity in our bodies. And then last breath or two, if you'd like, you can tuck the arm behind the back. Now, if you need to take a break, if you've already been here long enough, side of the neck. And then slowly and kindly back up into our seated position. Pause and breathe there. Check and make sure, yeah, okay, I still have you with me. The internet's a little unreliable today. So if you're in your warrior two now, we come out, shake out the legs a little bit. And if you're in a chair with me, it might feel good to step the feet wide, and we're taking a forward fold. So if you're forward folding in the chair, we're going to come forward between the two legs. And if you're standing, then you'll do a similar thing. Feet are wide and you're folding forward. The hands might come to the floor, they might not. You might actually rest the hands on a chair. Now, if you find that it feels really unsupportive to lean forward, you might rest your elbows on the knees, give yourself a little prop. Or you may find that it does feel good just to let your spine and body hang, the fingers to hang, the head to hang. Maybe you shake your head yes and no a few times. Breathe in and out here. Okay. Take your time and we'll come back up to our tall spine position. And let's pause for a moment and feel the effects of everything we've done so far, feeling the body breathing, feeling how maybe the body feels a little different now since we've done some strengthening and some stretching. If you're standing, if you're not in a chair, now we're going to come into a goddess position. The feet turn out and the knees are bent. If you're in a chair with me, the feet step wide and the knees and the feet turn out. So it's up to you how hard you want to make this. Those of you who are standing out of a chair, you can bend the knees a little bit or a lot. Then we'll bring the hands in front of us. I've got one palm up and the other palm is going to lay on top. And then I'm curling the fingers. So let me come in and show you with my hands. I'm curling the fingers here and I'm pulling apart. Now, you don't need to sort of go crazy with this. You don't need to go really hard, but we want to feel a little bit how we can pull ourselves apart with the hands. And as you do that, feel that you can pull a little engagement in from the abdominal muscles as well. So engaging the abdominal muscles a little bit and pulling the hands apart. And then let that rest. If you're standing, straighten the legs. If you're seated with me, let's move the legs in and out. We exert a little bit and then we rest. And now we're going to repeat with the same thing with the other hand on top. So we have one palm up, one palm down, a little bit of a curl. Knees are bent if you want them to be, toes pointing out. Pull the abdominal muscles back slightly as though somebody were about to tickle you and you're pulling back, and then pull the hands apart. Now check in, did your shoulders lift your ears? Let's drop the shoulders away from the ears as we pull here and feel the strength that comes with that. Take one more breath here and then let that go. Hands can relax, knees can move around. If you're standing, you can straighten the legs. One breath in and one breath out. Really good. We'll do one more standing pose. I'm going to call it standing even though we're in a chair. We'll do one more warrior pose. The right foot is going to turn to the right. The left leg is a little bit straight. And now we're setting up for warrior one. So the big difference between warrior one and warrior two is that the chest in warrior one, the torso, is facing toward the front leg rather than being turned toward the side, toward the hips. And the arms traditionally are reaching overhead here. Now, I'm going to invite you to either keep the arms overhead, or if you want to do a little bit more work with me, I'm going to have you bring your elbows by the sides and squeeze the elbows against, and bring your two hands together in front of you. Now, keep the elbows by the sides as you take the hands apart, like you're spreading your two hands as far apart as you can. And then one more time, bring the hands back together. Now, as we're doing this, find a little engagement through the abdominal muscles again. Lift up tall through the spine. Keep the elbows glued to the sides as you take the hands just as far apart as you can, strengthening the external rotators of the shoulders, and back to center. We're going to do just one more of these. Take the hands wide, keep the elbows by the sides as best you can. And this time we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to center. Let the arms rest. Come on out of your warrior one shape. Change the legs, move around a little bit as needed. And we'll get ready to move into warrior one on the left side. So for warrior one, left toes turn to the left, right leg is a little bit straighter. Chest is turning toward your left leg. Now I had turned my chest so you could sort of see where my elbows were, but it's up to you. If it feels good to keep the chest over the leg, we do that. Let's take a moment to reach the arms overhead so we can feel that lifting, that arcing spine. And now something a little bit different here with the hands. I invite you to take your hands to the back of your head. If you're able to interlace your fingers there, go ahead. Otherwise, you can just have the hands holding gently at the back of the head. And now with the back of your head, tuck the chin and lightly push the head into the hands. As you do this, no strain and no pain, please. Make sure that you're taking care of your body and listening to anything it's saying. Find a little bit more engagement through the abdominal muscles. If somebody were about to tickle you, you'd pull back, and then you're lightly pushing the head into the hands. So we're strengthening the muscles at the front of the throat. Now you may find that there's a little back bend that happens naturally in the upper back. That's fine, as long as it feels okay in your body. Let's take one more breath. And then let the hands release. Walk the feet back in toward one another and shake it out a little bit as needed. Really good work so far. We've done some pretty physical things. We're bringing some strength and some mobility into our practice today. So before we move on, I want to invite you one more time just to pause and breathe and notice, see how everything's feeling. We're going to do a stretch for the hips now. So this could be a balancing pose if you're standing, or you can do it seated or lying down. So I'm going to show you the chair version first. If it's available to you, we're going to cross your right ankle over your left knee and start to lean forward. This is for a stretch in the back of the hip. If you wanted to do this standing, I would encourage something to hang on to. You would bend the knees and cross the ankle and sit back. So we're getting a stretch there. Now, if it's not available to you today to cross your ankle over your knee, that's fine. Then instead, you're going to hook your toes behind the ankle and just let that thigh fall to the side. So you're still getting some work through the inner thigh. It's not exactly the same, but you're getting good work done. If you're able to lean a little further forward, please feel free to do that, but be sure that everything in your body is still a yes, so that no body parts are saying no. We'll take one more breath here in our chair pigeon. And then we come all the way back up. If you're balancing, both feet to the floor, take a moment, move around, recover. That's a challenging balance pose. If you're doing that on one leg, my hat is off to you. If you're in a chair with me, we're crossing the ankle over the thigh, or tucking the toes behind the knee. If you're standing away from a chair, you are bending the knees and then crossing your other ankle over the thigh, maybe starting to drop the seat back. If it's available to you to lean forward to get a little more stretch through the back of the hip, feel free to explore that. But let's check in with the shoulders, the neck, and the jaw and make sure that they're not participating. So this is really about the hips. We've done a lot of work for the upper body, and now we want to let the upper body relax a bit. Last breath or two here. And then we're back up to the top of the position, uncross the legs, and breathe for a moment. Okay. So we have a little back bend to do next. If you want to do this standing, this is a standing camel. We're going to do a chair camel. It's the same as a camel with your knees down, except that we're either in a chair or standing. So I'll walk you through it. If you're standing, it's going to be the same cues. If you're sitting on a chair, you might scoot forward a little bit. And then I want you to imagine that you're wearing a pair of suspenders and lift the suspenders up from the front. So there's a little feeling of lifting your abdominal contents or your front hips up to the ribs. Then let's shrug the shoulders back and down. Now we're in the beginning phase of our camel pose here. If it feels okay in your body to slide the hands around to the lower back, you can do that. If you're in a chair, you might even reach back and hold on to the back of the chair or the rungs of the chair. And then depending on your body, you may choose to lift your gaze toward the ceiling or even to let your head tilt back, but only, again, if it feels like your body is really saying yes to that. We're going to repeat this in a moment, so let this first one be a little exploratory, just seeing what feels good here. There should be no strain. I don't want you to feel any pain with this. And then when you feel like you've had enough, we'll come up and let the shoulders soften away from the ears. Do any little movement with the head or neck that feels good. So one sort of, I'm not going to call it a mistake because it's not a mistake, but one thing that can happen sometimes in our back bends and especially in our camel pose is that it feels like our lower back is doing all of the work. So that's why I really want to focus on this feeling of lifting up from the low belly. So that when we do that, what we're doing is we're sort of securing our lower back in place. So let's try this again. Pull the low belly back and up a little bit. Then, if it feels okay to start to curl your upper back, to lean back, I want you to see if you can feel like most of the movement now is happening in the upper back, like you're going back over a big beach ball. Your tailbone stays heavy. If you want to try something a little bit different this round, you might bring the hands to your heart center, pressing palm into palm. And then again, your choice with the gaze. Now, for a lot of folks, looking up is going to be a strain, so you'll want to keep the neck more neutral or even drop the chin toward the chest. If it felt better to support the hands on the chair or on something behind you, go ahead. And if it feels like any amount of back bending is really pinchy or tight or uncomfortable, then your focus is going to be just on stretching across the front of the chest and lifting the breastbone only as far as feels comfortable for you. Let's come back to our more neutral position. Shake it out a little, move around if you like. If you've been standing for this part of the practice, now you might want to return to your seats. We're going to do a seated twist before we move on. This one will hold. So for the twist today, I'm going to offer you an option. We did this 2 weeks ago. You can see if you like it. Lift your left knee and cross it over the right. So the knees are sort of stacked on top of each other. And then we're doing a twist to the right, away from the legs. If you're on the floor, I'll show you what that might look like instead. We cross one leg over the other and look back over the shoulder. So just a different way to do a very similar pose. This is Ardha Matsyendrasana. And if you know a different variation on this, then you're welcome to do that. You know your practice in your body. So we're holding there for a few breaths. If it feels uncomfortable to have the knees crossed as I showed, then you're just keeping the legs separate. That's fine too. Want to be aware that there's no pinching, no strain. Feel the heaviness of the hips, the lift of the chest. And then let's come back around through the center. Before the second side, just take a moment and check in. Make sure everything's feeling okay. And we'll twist to the other side, crossing left knee on top of the right if the legs are crossed. And then rotating to the left. So again, if you're seated on the floor, you've got maybe one leg straight and the other leg is bent, knee pointing to the sky, and we're twisting. Take 2 or 3 breaths here. Again, what's going on with your neck, your shoulders, and your jaw? Sometimes we add a little extra tension there that's not needed. When you feel complete, when you feel ready, let's come back around to center, uncross the legs if they've been crossed. And now we're getting ready to set ourselves up for our final part of our practice, our resting pose. If this were a practice that we were doing on the floor, on the mat, I would invite you to lie down if that feels good. And you're certainly welcome to lie down if that feels right for you here now. You can get out of the chair and lie down if that's something your body is able to do and wants to do. Otherwise, it might be nice just to stay in the chair, but maybe now to lean against the back of the chair a little bit so we get some additional support. I'll walk us through just a brief guided meditation here. You're welcome to take in what you like. If it feels right to close your eyes, please be welcome to do that. And if you'd rather keep the eyes open, that's great too. See if you can sense or feel or imagine the support of the earth or the chair holding you up. So feel how the muscles in the back of the body are supported, the heavy, dense muscles of the hips and the back. And then feel the sense of power that we experienced today in our body as we pressed the feet into the floor and the hands into the legs. The way that we didn't just lean into our poses, but we lifted up out of them. Sense of power in the body. Remember what power in the body feels like and take a few breaths to experience that here. Now feel the 2 shoulder blades on your back. Feel how the spine rises or runs the length of your whole torso up to the head, and the head is perfectly balanced at the top. Feel the broadness across the front of your chest. And remember that sense of dignity that we evoked in our yoga practice today. That sense of worthiness, that sense of belonging. Feeling that this is your body and you know best what to do with it. See if you can invite that sense of dignity back into your body. And if you're having a hard time imagining dignity or what does dignity feel like, you might think of somebody you know, whether you know them personally or it's a famous person. Think of somebody you know that you imagine to have dignity or that you feel like they have dignity. And imagine that you feel as they do. Feel the dignity in your body. You're worthy of it. And then finally, I'm going to invite you to experience a sense of lightness and a sense of joy. So you may feel joy in your body right now. It would be nice if you did, but if it's not there for you right now, I want you to remember a time where you felt joy, where you felt lightness. And imagine yourself breathing that through your whole body, a feeling of joy in your body. If it's difficult to remember joy, imagine somebody joyful. maybe somebody you love, and notice how it feels to remember their joy or to feel their joy with them. So as we rest here for one more moment with our power, our dignity, and our joy, and take a moment to feel all of the good work that you did in your practice today. Now, you're welcome to rest here longer if you like. If you feel like this is a good place for you to be and you want to stay longer, please do. Otherwise, if you've allocated just the 45 minutes for practice today, we're right up at the edge of that time. So when you feel ready, if the eyes are closed, you might open them. You might start to move the body around a little bit. And as you come back into your sort of daily life again, as you reintegrate yourself with your space where you are, see if you can feel the echo of the work that we did, that power, that dignity, that joy, that movement that we invited. And we can carry that with us now as we move into the rest of our day.